Hi guys, it's Dr. Dopamine or Dr. Ajita Dubey, and after posting my first video, I got a lot of positive responses from so many of you saying that you felt that tiny bit of motivation that you needed to feel like, okay, you have got this and you are going to get through. And that exactly is why I made that video in the first place. So it felt really nice. And while I wrote in the video that I'm waiting for your responses, I didn't really expect any of you to reach out to me, but yeah, it was just so amazing that you did. And a lot of you told me that you would like to know how to go about like each subject, how to prepare with respect to it. So I don't know how much of a difference this video is going to make, but yeah, I have tried my best to give you a short glimpse of how I went about my preparation with respect to each of the final year subjects. And let's get started. So my opinions in this video are going to be a little biased because I'm going to be talking about the kind of examination pattern that I feel West Bengal University of Health Sciences uses to conduct its examinations, and how I went about preparing for that that particular university's examinations. One of the things that used to bother me the most while preparing was the bulk of the subject, right? So when I used to look at that fat book that you have, which you have to read right before your exams, it would give me a lot of anxiety because I was someone that felt very uncomfortable skipping topics, right? So if I saw a chapter this big and I had to read, suppose, this particular segment of that chapter while I was, like studying in an exam oriented fashion, it would still be very difficult for me to not just glimpse a little bit, just see what is written in the other page, right? Because I was that kind of student since the beginning. I would like reading everything that is, whether it is asked or not, I would just like reading it for the sake of knowing. So if you suffer from that as well, what I did and what helped me immensely was segregating my book, right? So what I would do was, I used to prepare my final exam notes on my iPad, so that was very easy for me to do. I would select topics which were very high yield for the exam, which I was very sure that I have to revise before I go for my exam, and I would segregate all those topics from the respective systems. Say, let's start talking with medicine. So for medicine, what I did was segregate paper 1 and 2. Okay, so all the systems of paper 1, I would write it in one place. All the systems of paper 2, I would make another notebook for it. Okay, and then I would take the most high yielding topics which are frequently asked, topics which are things that you cannot go into an examination hall without, topics which are constantly something that I forget. Okay, I tend to forget. So I would make notes, like copy paste my particular reference book and then add on to it from the standard sources that I wanted to include in my notes. And then I would create a PDF ready for me to revise just before the day of the exam, because on the day of the exam, if I am going to be reading from different sources, that is going to be really, really hectic, right? And that is going to be maybe right now it does not seem like it to you, that how much time is flipping pages and finding an answer going to take, right? But I am betting on my life that just the day before the exam, when you have that book and you are flipping pages is what is going to take time, finding topics is what is going to take time. All right, so trust me on this. If you can segregate your questions and if you can segregate your important topics and volatile topics and keep them ready for you to revise at the last day, it is going to save you a hell lot of trouble. Now, a lot of people function well by going system wise. Okay, you tend to complete, let's talk about medicine paper 2. I have opened right in front of me. You have rheumatology, neurology, endocrinology, respiratory, psychiatry, dermatology, and STDs. So a lot of people think that, they'll complete rheumatology, then they'll move on to neurology, then they'll move on to endocrinology. But what I would suggest is to avoid feeling that you have left an entire segment altogether. Go for the most high yielding topics of all the systems first, and then go and cover the gaps that are left in between, right? Like, assuming this is not your first revision or the first time you're seeing this topic, if it is the first time you're seeing some topic, I would suggest keep it for the very end, because it's barely going to be in your memory by the time you finish revising. But yeah, if you have studied these topics at least once or twice before, then going by the order of importance is going to be your best bet. Now, while the subject seems its most interesting when you're reading it the day before the exam, and you're like, man, if I had the chance, I would become a dermatologist right now. I mean, derma is just so interesting. Or was I so oblivious to the wonders of psychiatry? Let me just start reading this random, wow, I should be reading this topic, I should be reading that topic. No, don't be fooled by it. We all have faced it. But your focus while you are integrating the short subjects into your, bigger chunks, bigger bulks, is going to be on the fact that you should be reading probably 4 or 5 of those topics, and at least if there is one question that is asked out of it, or 2 questions, they should be from that. And what I'm saying does not only work for your theory exams, it works wonders if you apply this strategy to your practicals, right? I'll try to share my screen and show you a PDF of how I segregated all the systems and respective cases. Like, you go to the wards, you have written down, case histories, what are the important points. For example, in cardiovascular system, you have notes of your cyanotic heart disease, acyanotic heart diseases, you have your respiratory cases, you have neonatal resuscitation which you want to add. So yeah, these are the things. If you include them in a PDF, or like if you are following something which is not digital, if you are going for a more paper and pen mode of thing, so if you keep all those resources ready at one place to view right before the examination, 50% of your job of finding what you're supposed to study, where you're supposed to study it from, is done, right? So have a clear cut idea of what your practical examination is going to look like. Write down that, the marks distribution of your examination. Make sure you include everything right from your practical examinations. I will also share a PDF of practical files that I made, and I'll show you how I, included all the important things and made sure that everything that is asked is there with me in one particular PDF, right? So that solves a lot of your task. When by the time you are ready with this, on the day before the examination, if your college does not tend to give you a 5 or 6 day break, like in my college, we had back-to-back examinations. We had one paper, the next one the other day, and the one after that, right? So if you don't get a lot of gaps in between your examination, this strategy is the best one that you can follow, because you don't have the time to sit and read through cases again and again. You have to make sure you know what are the things that you should keep in your mind, how to examine the patient, right? You can even create a YouTube playlist for yourself if that helps, of the examinations and important videos. If you want suggestions regarding that, you can text me. So that is how you're supposed to go about the entire process. While preparing for your practicals, make sure that you understand that OSCE and OSPE constitutes a very big portion of your marking scheme right now, and these are highly scoring, right? So if you complete that segment first, you are going to be a little bit at ease in your head when you're preparing for the rest of the examination, because you already know that you've studied enough for you to at least not, have a terrible exam tomorrow. You are prepared to face that examination and make sure that you're going to pass for it, right? So first ensure that. After that, you can definitely go on polishing your viva tables. You can go on talking about different, specific viva topics that you think are important and you want to study them. But first and foremost, make sure that you're ready with the portion that is going to be high yielding, and take a significantly less amount of your time preparing it. Like, you can be done with your OSCE and OSPE within a couple of hours, max to max 3 hours, and then you can focus your intention completely towards the rest of the preparation, right? Don't leave these high scoring, less effort things for the end. Note down what percentage of your exam is based on a particular segment, because maybe you are terrified, right? You are very tensed about a particular segment, you do not perform well in it, but it might actually be just a very small segment of your entire examination. So what I would suggest is to keep that segment for the end. Focus on the things that you feel confident with, the things that you think you can use to score your best, and then move on to those parts, right? So yeah, that is my suggestion, and hopefully you will be following some of these things. I'll be taking your leave now, and this was again one of those videos where I spoke about the perspective that you should have during your final year exam preparation. But the ones that texted me saying they would like to hear me talk more about general health stuff, stay tuned.